Chapter 20. The Beauty in the Library. Belle wasn't the sort of girl who got bored easily, but she found herself tired of being trapped within doors. It was too cold to go outside, so she sat idly in the small study next to the fire, wondering when she would see the beast. She had grown less cross with him since he had saved her from the wolves, but she couldn't forget why she had run out into the forest and into danger. His terrible temper. She played the scene in her head over and over: the wolves, the woods, the beast, the blood. She had almost died that night because of his rage. And why? Because she touched his precious rose. Though her anger and fear hadn't stopped her mending his wounds, had it? She supposed it was the least she could do after he saved her life. Oh, stop this, she thought. She spent far too much time thinking. That was all she did. Think, analyze, brood. She wondered how the women from the stories she loved to read could bear it, sitting around all day so idle, just waiting to hear the day's news from men. But that was exactly what she was doing now, wasn't it? Waiting for the beast. There was nothing for her to do in the castle, and she thought she would go mad from the banality. At least at home with father she had her books, and she could help with his inventions. He needed her. She needed him. She missed him, and she even missed the people from the village. It was true, everyone in the village thought she was queer for reading so much, and she didn't exactly behave like other girls. So what if she was more interested in reading about princesses than being one herself? She felt thankful her father always gave her the freedom to express herself how she wished and live her life the way she thought was right. He allowed her to be herself. Not many young women had that freedom, and she was starting to understand what a rare and beautiful life she had been living until recently. Here she was stifled and alone. The beast watched her as she sat in the little red chair next to the fireplace. She didn't know he was standing there. Her face was squished up in disapproval, like she was reproaching herself inwardly. She was probably scolding herself for mending his wounds, but she couldn't know the truth. How could she? She didn't know he just as easily could have killed her had the wolves not been there to distract him. Imagine it. Imagine if he had killed her. How horrible, how utterly ghastly that he could do such a thing. Another terrible deed added to the long list, a list no doubt being tallied by those witches. He was sure it would have been the final act of evil that would have pushed his dark heart into further decay, and the witches would be here now to mock him. He would have lost himself completely if he hadn't already. Surely there was something left of himself. He wasn't entirely a beast now, was he? If he was, wouldn't he have killed her? He wouldn't have cared about breaking the curse. As it was, he needed her desperately. She was his last chance. He wasn't sure if he deserved this chance, but he saw Belle's arrival at the castle as a sign he should try. How could he possibly make himself love her, truly fall in love with someone like her? She was nothing like the girls he fancied. She was beautiful, yes, but not in the ways he usually admired. It would never work, and even if he did fall in love with her, how could she ever fall in love with him? It was hopeless. He was loathsome. He saw that now, for the first time. He saw how vile he'd become, and he felt he deserved Circe's punishment. Perhaps this, right here, was his punishment, never knowing what it was to love. Belle looked up at him and smiled. He hadn't expected that. Belle, will you come with me? She raised one eyebrow and gave him a sly smile like she didn't trust him. Okay. They walked past the vestibule and into a long passageway she hadn't yet seen. It was sparse, except for a small red velvet bench and a lonely gargoyle statue, and at the end of the passage was a large arched doorway. When they reached the door, the beast said, Belle, there is something I want to show you. He started to open the door but stopped himself. He was surprised by his nervousness. But first, you have to close your eyes. She gave him that look again, like she didn't trust him. Honestly, how could she? He thought. But she did seem intrigued and slightly more comfortable in his company, which gave him hope. It's a surprise, he said, and she closed her eyes. She could feel the passing of his hand in front of her face to be sure she wasn't peeking. Both of them were so untrusting of each other. He took her by the hands and led her into what seemed like a vast open space. She could tell by the sound her footsteps were making. Can I open them? Her voice echoed. If she hadn't known better, She would have thought perhaps they were in a cathedral. No, no, wait here. He released her hands. She heard a swish and then felt warm sunlight on her face. Now can I open them? He was actually enjoying this, giving her this gift, and he found himself smiling for the first time in ages. All right, now, he said, and she opened her eyes, which widened at the remarkable sight. I can't believe it. I'd never seen so many books in my entire life. The beast hadn't expected to feel this way, hadn't expected what it would mean to him to make someone so happy. You like it? He asked. And she did, more than she could express. It's wonderful, she said, happier than he'd ever seen her before. Then it's yours. And he felt something completely unexpected. What had started out as a way to bring them closer together for the sake of breaking the curse turned into something else, something he didn't understand. He loved making her happy. Oh, thank you so much. Books. Books made her happy. She wasn't like any girl he'd ever known before, and he thought perhaps he liked it. In fact, he was sure he did. Chapter 21: Beauty and the Beast. The odd sisters were in a panic. Even they could see Belle was warming up to the beast, and the beast, well, he was experiencing something quite unique to him and utterly terrifying to the witches. They had to do something. They had their hands full keeping watch over Belle and the beast, and now Gaston as well, since they had sent Flance to keep an eye on him. They were so consumed they never left the house for fear they'd miss an opportunity to sink their claws further into the prince's withering heart. Just look at them, playing in the snow, hissed Ruby. Disgusting, spat Martha. Look at the way she looks at him, peeking at him coyly from behind that tree. You don't think she's falling in love with him, do you? Screamed Lucinda. She couldn't possibly. The sisters spent all their time now spying on Belle and the beast, and with each day their panic grew. It was becoming painfully clear they were falling in love. Those damn servants aren't helping. They contrive romance at every opportunity, squealed Ruby. Ruby, Martha, and Lucinda must have looked a mess when Circe returned from her visit to Morningstar Castle. When they heard her come in, the three of them turned as one, startled to see their little sister standing in the doorway. Oh, hello, they said together, looking frightfully tired and rather crazed from long nights of fretting, spying, and plotting. Circe could see something was amiss. What is all this? Circe asked. Lucinda tried to put on her best face, though having not seen herself in a mirror for several days, she had no idea how frightful she looked. What do you mean, dear? She said with a twitch and a sputter. Circe narrowed her eyes, looking as though she was scanning her for some shred of the truth. This place! It's a disaster! What on earth have you been up to? The odd sisters just stood there. For once they had nothing to say. Lucinda's ringlets were tangled much like a bird's nest, with little bits of dried herbs and candle wax stuck between them, while Ruby's red silk skirt was covered in gray ash and the feathers in her hair were sticking out at even stranger angles than usual. And poor Martha, her face was smudged with some kind of orange powder. They all stood there before their little sister, acting as if their appearance was as normal as could be, like Circe was stupid or didn't have eyes in her head to see they were up to some sort of trickery. Spell work. I see, Circe scolded. You know, whatever you're doing, I've decided I don't want to know. Honestly, I don't feel like dealing with whatever it is. So is anyone going to ask me how it went with the sea witch? Ruby croaked her reply. And how was it, dear? Did you send our greetings? Circe gave a start at the sound of her sister's voice, but kept her questions about what they'd been doing to herself. She's very well and was quite pleased with the exchange, she went on. You know, out of all of your strange friends, I like Ursula best. She's very amusing. The sisters laughed, croakily, their voices wrecked from their endless chanting. Circe couldn't keep herself from asking this time. Seriously, what have you been up to? Look at yourselves. You're a mess. And what happened to your voices? Why are you so hoarse? The sisters looked at each other, and with a nod from Lucinda, Ruby took a necklace out of her pocket. We got you this! She dangled the pretty little necklace from her fingertips, swishing it back and forth in an attempt to distract her. It was a beautiful necklace, braided silver with light pink stones. Yes, we got you a present, Circe, said Martha, as Circe narrowed her eyes at her scheming sisters. Do you think I'm stupid and so easily distracted? Martha frowned theatrically. We thought you would like it. Try it on. Lucinda ran towards Circe like an excited little child, her pale face haggard and her red lipstick smudged. Yes, try it on. I think it will look lovely. Lucinda went behind Circe to put it around her neck. Okay, fine. Let's see what it looks like if it will make you happy, Circe said. And when Lucinda fastened the clasp, Circe slumped into her sister's waiting arms. That's right, little sister. Sleep. The three witches carried Circe into her bedroom and placed her on a soft feather bed, where she slept blissfully so her sisters could continue their fiendish deeds undisturbed. We will wake you when it's over, our sweet little sister, and you will thank us for avenging your broken heart. No one hurts our little sister. Shh, you'll wake her. Nothing will wake her, not until we take the necklace from her pretty little neck. She won't be angry with us, will she? Oh no, she couldn't be. We're doing this for her own good. Yes, her own good. Chapter 22. The Enchanted Mirror. The sisters had seen enough of Belle and the Beast over the past several days to know where this was heading. What with their daily frolics, bird watching, and disgusting looks of tenderness, it was all the sisters could do to keep themselves from retching. If either of them got the nerve to kiss, it would be over. The curse would be broken. Thank Hades, Belle, and the Beast were each too bashful to make the first move, so for now the witch's curse was safe. What they needed to do was focus their attentions on someone who could rip Belle and the Beast apart before disaster struck, and that was when they had their idea. They gathered again near the fire, this time tossing in a silver powder that sparked and made a putrid smell. Make her miss her father dear, show Belle her greatest fear. The witch's laughs grew into a cacophonous maelstrom that traveled with the winds to the beast's enchanted castle, casting an ill omen over the lovers holding hands in the moonlight. The sisters watched. Belle, are you happy here with me? The beast's large paws enveloped her little hands as he waited for her answer. Yes, she said, turning away. What is it? She looked heartbroken. If only I could see my father again, just for a moment. I miss him so much. There is a way, he said. The sisters were still watching and holding their breath. He's taking her into the West Wing, Ruby whispered, as if the two lovers could hear the sisters' remarks. Show her the mirror, Martha screamed. Calm yourselves, sisters. He'll show her the mirror, Lucinda said, smiling as they watched to see what would happen next. Shh, Martha hissed. He's saying something. This mirror can show you anything, anything you wish to see. The sisters had to cover their mouths to muffle the squeals of glee threatening to burst their tiny ruby red lips. Take it! Take the mirror! Lucinda screamed, trying to will Belle into taking the enchanted mirror from the beast. She took it! I'd like to see my father, please, Belle said as she looked into the little hand mirror. The sisters chanted their wicked words one more time. Make her miss her father dear. Show Belle her greatest fear. Their cackles echoed across the lands, and along with them their foul magic. Belle felt a terrible chill. Oh, Papa! Oh, no! He's sick, maybe dying, and he's all alone. Ruby knocked over the scrying bowl, its water spilling over the gingerbread house's hardwood floors. They could no longer see Belle or the beast or force their will upon them. Martha, quick, get more water! Martha took the silver bowl and filled it with water, splashing some on her way back to the sisters, who were now on the floor anguishing. Here, I have it, she yelled. Look, they are starting to appear. What's happening? Ruby was slamming her fists on the wet floor again and again so violently her hands started to bleed. Ruby, stop! She's leaving. She's going to her father. He's released her. Ruby's face was streaked with black tears. But did he give her the mirror? Is she taking it with her? We were unable to finish the incantation. Lucinda looked up at her exhausted sisters, worn from long days of witchery. Not to worry, sisters. She had the mirror when she left. Ruby smiled a mischievous grin. Everything is in place then. Perfect. The sisters' odious laughter filled the room as they focused their attentions now on someone who wouldn't need much persuading to commit a bit of chicanery. Chapter 23. The Witch's Plot. Gaston was sitting down to a large banquet in his dining hall, which was heavily decorated with the various animals he'd killed during his many hunting excursions. The chair at the head of the table, at which he was seated, of course, was adorned with elk antlers and draped with animal skins and furs. His cleft chin was jutting out a bit further than usual, which was a manifestation of his extreme good spirits. That is, until the odd sisters clambered in, disturbing his banquet for one. Look here, foul witches, I won't have you popping in and out of my home unannounced. Sorry to disturb your meal, Gaston, but we have news that you might find interesting. Gaston slammed his knife into his wooden dining table. First, you send that foul, slinking creature to watch over me, and now this, showing up whenever you desire to make requests of me, no doubt. Ruby twitched her head to the right, about to speak, but it was Martha who defended Flance. She's not here to spy on you, Gaston. She's here to help you. Gaston's laugh rivaled the witch's own. It filled the hall and reverberated in the witch's ears. Help me! Help me! Why, I'm the strongest, most attractive man in the village! The sisters stared blankly at him, wondering if he or anyone else really believed that. Yes, help you, Gaston. We found Belle, and she's on her way to her father now. Gaston fixed his gaze on the witches for the first time since they'd arrived. They had finally gotten his full attention. Their dresses were deep red, the exact shade of their lips, which were painted to look like a baby doll's. Their raven hair was fashioned in shoulder length ringlets around their pale faces and adorned with large red plumes. They were painfully thin, and looked ludicrous in all their finery, like skeletal beings brought back from the dead to attend a fancy dress ball. You found Belle? Oh, yes, we found your dearest love, Ruby sang. She won't be able to resist you. Gaston looked at himself in the reflection of his shiny knife and said, Well, who can? Lucinda grinned, trying not to let Gaston detect her repulsion. We have arranged some assurances on the slightest chance she can. Gaston raised one brow in curiosity, but Martha continued before he could comment. We would like you to meet a friend of ours, she said with an evil smile cracking her white face, her makeup causing her to look even more freakishly beautiful. A very dear friend, who we think would be more than happy to help you. Gaston had to wonder what sort of people the witches kept company with. His name is Monsieur d'Arc. He runs the sanitarium, Lucinda answered, as if she heard his very thoughts. Gaston wasn't surprised that the sisters were friendly with the rapscallion who ran the sanitarium. Martha elaborated. Maurice, Belle's father, has been raving about a beast, has he not? Perhaps the sanitarium is just the place for him. Ruby twittered in delight when she added, Though I'm sure there would be no need for him to be institutionalized if Belle were to marry you. I'm sure between the two of you, Maurice would be well taken care of. Gaston grasped their meaning instantly, and he was thunderstruck by the brilliance of the idea. He would, of course, take the credit for the idea entirely. Poor old Maurice has been raving like a lunatic. Why, just the other night he was gibbering incoherently about Belle being captured by a beast. See? You would be doing them both a favor if you married Belle. Someone needs to take care of the poor fellow.